Hello, and you are back in the Velvet Room with Jokerthefool. This is our 86th episode, and today we'll be discussing more proof that what they did was wrong, the gaslighting of the ruling class, and the Trump psyop deepening. So we're going to get right into this with this article from News Addict. The headline reads, Colorado University's COVID vaccine mandate ruled unconstitutional by federal court. So if you lived under a rock between 21 and sometime early 23, there was all these vaccine mandates from schools, medical institutions, basically any legacy institution that had people under their employ, a bunch of big corporations. Carhartt was in on this with a whole bunch of others saying if you don't get jabbed, you're going to get fired. You're not going to be able to be part of polite society. Of course, you had New York City basically saying you need a vaccine passport. Australia was really bad. You had these inane mask requirements, and not only did you have the mandate to get the first round of vaccines, either the one for the Janssen, the two for the other ones, but you had to get the boosters in order for your compliance with the mandate to be up to date. But a federal court has ruled that the University of Colorado Anschutz School of Medicine's COVID-19 vaccine mandate is unconstitutional. The court found that the mandate demonstrated religious animus and violated the First Amendment's establishment and free exercise clauses. So, anarcho-capitalists, I've talked a lot about the concept of self-ownership, property rights. That's where all rights stem from. So you own yourself, and of course, if you look at an experimental vaccine and say, well, I don't want to get this, or for whatever reason, whether it's religious reasons, whether it's you looking at the data and saying, well, I'm a healthy young adult, I'm not really at risk for it, especially, if I've gotten COVID and I have that natural immunity, which didn't become a thing, or which they denied was a thing at all, even though that's how vaccines work, is basically mimicking natural immunity. But all that went out the window. It was get jabbed or you're a filthy grandma killer, basically. And it's, we're going to mandate that you get the vaccine, or else you're going to basically be penniless on the streets. And, the unvaccinated are ruining society. The winter of severe death and illness, the hospitals you may soon overwhelm. They really wanted to strong arm people into getting the vaccine. Of course, this was wrong. So this decision sets legal precedent, right, that vaccine mandates are a First Amendment violation, which is a fantastic thing. This court's decision could have implications for similar cases, including the Children's Health Defense's lawsuit against Rutgers University. So, again, with laws or with the legal system, a lot of it is based off of precedent. So if you have this precedent that's established, especially with, this was a COVID-19 vaccine mandate, and you have other decisions that are relating to basically mandates, basically the same mandate, but coming from different institutions, it's going to be like, well, in this case, Anschutz versus whoever, it's going to be like, well, it's a strong case for it to be a First Amendment violation, and again, shooting more of these mandates down. Of course, it should have never been something in the first place. There are violations of your basic property rights, your right to self-ownership, but that's a whole nother thing. I just wanted to bring this up, put you into this mind frame that what they were doing for all of COVID was wrong. It was a violation of property rights, and the vaccine mandates were probably one of the most egregious violations of one's personhood that you could inflict without it being like straight up imprisonment or killing somebody, right? So this is definitely a very good thing. I definitely wholeheartedly support it. I hope more stuff like this happens, but we got that legal precedent. We've got the First Amendment being a little bit more than paper with this case. But we're going on to the next topic. This is from Slay News. Bette Midler, Hillary Clinton never claimed the election was stolen. A little Freudian slip there, or did I? But of course, when the 2016 election happened and Trump won, although he didn't win the popular vote, he won the Electoral College. Not the first time that's happened in the history of this country, but one of the few times. It was stolen by the Russians. He's not the legitimate president. Hillary Clinton went on and on about that, and of course, Bette Midler has this tweet, May 19th, 24. Can you imagine what would have happened if Hillary Clinton had claimed the election was stolen? So this is what the ruling class does, is that, when something bad happens or anything like that, it's just all this gaslighting and lying to just um, control the narrative and have it be what they want you to be. So like that, Hillary Clinton is this moral, upstanding member of society, and Donald Trump is basically the Antichrist. That's what Bette Midler believes. That's what she wants you to believe. So she's going to say, well, Hillary Clinton never said that the election was stolen, even though she basically, she might not have said those words outright, but she basically said that it was not, fair. He knows that he was basically a plant by the Russians. They had this whole Russian collusion narrative that they wouldn't let go of for so long, and I think they're probably still peddling it, and it's just so ridiculous. And it's also another thing with bringing the vaccine mandates back into play with all this COVID stuff. You're seeing gaslighting with that. One of the biggest things is Andrew Cuomo saying well, I couldn't get anybody to comply with the COVID regulations. This was all voluntary, right? So the state can literally arrest people, right? And basically imprison people and fine and tax people. None of that is voluntary. And all that was going on during the COVID era. You had at one point children getting arrested because they didn't have vaccine passports. This was the ridiculous thing. But of course, the gaslighting is well, this is all voluntary. I couldn't make anyone to do anything. People just complied because that was the right thing to do at the time, and I was just following orders. All this absolute nonsense. But the ruling class will do this stuff that makes them look bad, that is degrading human society to an insane degree, absolutely destroying any sort of cultural cohesion, all these acts of aggression, stealing from people left and right, all this inflation nonsense that's going on because of the way the state is handling the money supply and also their own federal budget as well. All those are contributing factors to the inflation problem. But it's all gaslighting, saying the economy is doing better than ever, and Hillary Clinton never sold the election, and there weren't any bad thing that happened during COVID was just a result of the pandemic and not the regulations that the state inflicted on the people. All that was voluntary. We all just chose to stay in our house for years. We all just chose to get furloughed from our jobs, right? That's really what they want you to think, and it's just making things your fault if you go along with their narrative, so that way they can shirk all blame, they can hold on to their power, and they are never held responsible or accountable for what they do, because if they did, then we'd have an opportunity to usher in a voluntary society, which is what they don't want at all. But heading on to the last topic, if you're still with me in my rambling self, thank you. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out my Substack, Velvet Room Publishing. Conspiracy Theory Week with the Daily Poll. Still doing that until Sunday. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. If you are readers of the Daily Poll, appreciate you. But we're heading into the last topic, and this is really the psyop with Donald Trump. So my co-host of Hump Day Potpourri is very certain that Trump is going to become president, right? And they want Trump to be president, and then they're going to take him out once he's president. And I honestly am thinking that's the case, because recently it came out that Nikki Haley is going to be voting for Trump. And now I want you guys to know that Nikki Haley is a plant, right? Her entire election campaign, her presidential campaign, I should say, was a manufactured, planted event to control the narrative and to make the uni-party's position in politics stronger, right? And now that she's basically seen as someone who is completely astroturfed, and she got out of the election because you can't bump the Trump. He's got his base. People want him in. He's basically going to become the president, as far as it seems, most likely. They're going to go with this other strategy, which I think is really to deepen the schism that exists between the Democratic and Republican voters, this polarization of society, this complete lack of social cohesion, right? So you have the uniparty in this country, the Democrats and the Republicans. They work together, they have this one set agenda, and what the Democrats advocate for and their policy positions and everything they say, that's what the uniparty wants, right? But I would say most Americans aren't on board with it. Even a lot of Democrats aren't on board with it. So the Republicans exist to make those Americans that are uncomfortable with what the Democrats want, with the WEF globalist agenda, with the 15-minute cities, with all that stuff, who are uncomfortable with that, to make them feel like if they go to the voting booth and choose R down the ticket, that they're actually doing something meaningful for their freedom, right? That's why Republicans exist. Nikki Haley is proof of that. Of course, they're going to have Nikki Haley basically say she's voting for Trump, who's unhinged, who's bad, and they're going to say, like, see, all the Republicans are just maggots, MAGAT. I mean, that's the insulting term that they call anyone who supports Trump, right? To make, all the people who vote Republicans seem like these unhinged, evil people who just want, all the women and minorities to be enslaved again, whatever it is. That's what they're going for. They want to deepen the schism that exists between the Democratic and Republican voters in this country, and they're going to have Nikki Haley contribute to that schism by saying she's supporting Trump. Now, does she actually like Trump? I doubt she does, but she's doing what she's doing what she's being told to do. And this is not an organic thing. This isn't, something that she's really choosing to do. Everything about Nikki Haley's election campaign has been manufactured. So she's entirely astroturf. She's very much a handled character. So that is what you have to have the perspective when you look at what she says. That is really all I have to say with that. That's what I want you to be aware of, is that there is this huge psyop surrounding Trump, even Trump himself. So just don't fall for it. Of course, you can definitely be entertained by it, because this election cycle is going to probably be the most entertaining yet. So taking entertainment value from the election, I'm okay with that, but to take it seriously, to act like it's anything more than a really fucked up popularity contest where you get the keys to one of the worst regimes that's ever existed in the history of the planet, is ridiculous in my mind. But of course, that has been my take on things as an anarcho-capitalist. Also, some crazy conspiracy theorist that likes to say everything's a psyop, because I think most things are. But with that, I'm going to leave it here. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one, and we're heading into the outro now. Thank you for being in the Velvet Room with Jokerthefool. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, whether you're listening on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, or Substack. And be sure to subscribe to my Substack, velvetroompublishing.substack.com, to keep up with Machine to Man and all my other projects.